what are some of the main reasons why Christians get caught up in this and don't see the danger that they're walking towards? Because all these people were Christians at one point. So how do they get enticed? Like what are some of the reasons that causes them to seemingly break away from a traditional biblical worldview and adopt these other worldviews that are completely contradictory to what they grew up in? How do they allow culture to so influence them that they walk away from the truth? Like, what are the reasons? And so I want to highlight, just in my opinion, what a few of these reasons are. Because one of the best ways that we can protect ourselves from becoming deceived and influenced by an antichrist culture and false teaching is by knowing what to look for and just kind of be familiar with the deception that's out there. And so the first area I want to look at, the first reason that I think, and I think it's the main reason, it's the foundation to it all, is biblical illiteracy. Biblical illiteracy. Now, this is a very multifaceted category, because there are some people who don't read the Bible at all. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know the stats. I guess I should have looked them up, but there's a crazy number of Christians who don't read their Bible, like at all. They may or may not go to church regularly. They may or may not know, basic theology, but they don't read their Bible. And so we're living in an antichrist culture. Deception is everywhere. And yet you have literally thousands and millions of Christians who don't read their Bible. Like, how do you not think that won't affect you? Like, it shouldn't come as a surprise, in all honesty. If you're not grounding yourself in truth, you're not anchoring yourself in truth, then how can you expect to not be deceived? Because deception is tricky. The devil himself is called the father of lies. It's what he's good at. He's had thousands of years to perfect his craft. And you have people who don't read the Bible at all. So that's one reason how they can shift from Christianity to one of these other worldviews, because they have there's no check in their spirit. They have no idea what truth is or not. So when they hear something, if it sounds good, okay, I guess I'll believe that. They're easy targets. Then you have people who don't know how to read the Bible properly. And this one is equally as dangerous. And there's a few issues for me personally that get under my skin the most when I see false teaching out there, or people who are just saying stuff that's just incorrect. And it's when people don't know how to read the Bible properly. And they take the Bible and they use it to justify opinions and worldviews and beliefs, and it's false. They're mishandling the text. And I see this all the time, especially in the world of social media. And I'm not going to, name names of channels and people who devote their whole social media platform to false teaching, but this is super dangerous, because the thing with deception is it's always laced with truth. It's never just completely out to lunch, because if someone comes to you with something that's not completely not true, and it's so overtly obvious it's not true, well, then obviously the person's not going to be deceived into believing it. The trick is to have a little bit of truth mixed in with the deception to grab them. And that's what happens. People take the Bible, maybe they quote a few verses correctly, but then they'll take another verse and they'll twist it just slightly to make it mean something it never intended to mean, to create a point, to create a worldview that's just slightly off the actual meaning of the text. And this is dangerous. People taking the Bible who don't know how to read it properly and then decide what it means and then develop their own theology and develop their own beliefs and understanding when their whole worldview is based on something that's false because it's incorrect. They took the Bible and they just made it say whatever they wanted to say. And so there's lots of people who don't know how to read it properly, which is very dangerous. And even Christians who haven't walked away, but Christians, just general Christians, have this problem too. And this is why it's like one of my passions is just helping people to read the Bible properly. Just like my advice to you is if you're someone who doesn't spend regular time in the Word and you're a Christian and you love Jesus, but you just don't read the Bible a lot, or you have a hard time reading it, or invest in a good study Bible. Start there, just because it will help give you context and clarity as you go through the text. If you have questions, usually footnotes will be able to answer or point you in the right direction to getting answers. And so that's level one. Learn how to read the Bible properly. It's so important. And so we have people who don't read the Bible at all, easy target. People who don't know how to read the Bible properly, easy target. And then the third group is there's people who don't believe that the Bible is inspired by God. So people who will take the Bible, but they see it as fictitious or it's made up. It's not actually historically true, historically accurate. It's a bunch of fairy tales. And so these people will either just completely disregard the text altogether, throw it out, or they're kind of the last group. They'll pick and choose what parts of the Bible they like and what they don't like. What parts of, the scriptures they can twist and manipulate to validate their own thinking or ideas. Or they can use the Bible they can point to the text, rip it apart to, in a negative way, use the Bible to prove what they're saying and what they think and what they believe. And so you got people who don't know how to read the Bible at all. You got people who don't read the Bible at all. And then you got people who just think that it's just this fictitious made-up book. And then they decide that it's either, everything in it is useless and meaningless, or they just pick and choose parts that they want to take to conform and mold it into whatever it is that they think is right in their own eyes. And so biblical illiteracy is huge. I think it's one of the main reasons how this deconstruction from Christianity can get into someone's life and their heart and their spirit, how it could get into a church and affect thousands and thousands of people because they didn't know how to read their Bible. They don't know how to handle God's word. And because they didn't know, someone came along and maybe told them, the Bible, there's contradictions in it. It's not actually God's word. It's not divinely inspired. It's not authoritative. It's just a made-up book. Look at all the mistakes in it. And they come along and they belittle it. And then there's Christians who, what if that's true? And they bite it and they believe it. And before they know it, they're gone. And so biblical illiteracy is huge.